So I'm with you, Al. You're the blues man, and every Sunday you show your support for the Palestine cause. And this Sunday, and I knew something would probably happen because it happened in Manchester and London just after the UK government under Starmer announced the proscription of Palestine Action. So it's not the whole Palestine protest, but it's this group they've decided to put in the same category as the likes of ISIS, and it means you'll almost be classed as supporting terrorism or under the Terrorism Act if you just merely mention the name in support or have it written on a piece of card rather than doing any actual activities. I've been involved in a few activities which they say is only sometimes more direct action, like putting spray paint on a plane in a military base because that might be used against Palestine. But so what? So first off, it was the ordinary march that went on. That goes on every Sunday afternoon in Liverpool, going down to Derby Square. But how did it unfold? Because I wasn't there.
Well, we've been marching for peace with Friends of Palestine from the Metropolitan Cathedral, Liverpool, down through the city centre to Derby Square, which is the Victoria Monument. I've been with them for over a year, and it's been very peaceful, and there's only been 2 police officers present, and there's been no problems whatsoever. Well, there's been a few objections from people shouting a bit of abuse as we travelled down Leachy Street through Bold Street through Church Street, but nothing serious. But unfortunately, I think with what happened with Action Palestine in London, I think the police were expecting more of that type of action in terms of the posters. Well, what I would say is that it's Action Palestine has been like what I would say classed as a terrorist group, where it isn't. They don't carry guns for a start.
No, ISIS do. ISIS have all that.
Let's get this straight.
But they don't.
Let's get this straight. Palestine is for the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
And what it is, they don't have an army, they don't have a navy, they don't have an air force. Israel has all those.
Israel
and
has
a
that.
nuclear power.
Like the Israel Defense Force, for
And
example.
what
the
all
IDF,
they've got is a militia group, which is now classed as a terrorist group with Hamas. And put this way, it is not a war. There's not 2 armies fighting each other. The use of the word war, and people use it so they can get away with murder. They use the word war so they can murder innocent people. It's not a war. It is what I would say totally unbalanced. If it's a war, there'd be 2 armies fighting like they used to.
So you think it's one-sided yet more because of outnumbered, yes, yeah.
Bombing the infrastructure of Palestine, killing women and children indiscriminately with bombs made by America and the UK. And it's about time we told America to go and sling their hook.
So that's
America only gets involved with countries that don't have armies. Have you noticed that?
Because it's a bit easier.
Yeah, they've got an army,
it's easier then, isn't it?
Technology. Yeah. Oh, well, they can do what they want, can't they? Yeah. Look at Ukraine. And Trump let the cat out the bag. Oh, the mineral wealth there. We could do with all the nitrates in now. You've got, these guys, people in charge, unfortunately, they're narcissistic. And they've got their egos are just totally macho bullshit. And what I would say is that we should break our ties from America and go with Europe. France, Germany, Spain, all the other European countries.
But the opposite has happened, of course, hasn't it?
With
the EU.
And that's why Trump doesn't like the EU. You know why? Oh, because they're a collection of countries. How stupid to say something like that when there's 50 odd states in America, which is a collection of states, to say about the European United States in Europe. Oh, use a bit of nous. You know what I mean?
Some of them even want independence to some degree.
Franz Liszt said one thing, and I always say, he says, Think 10 times and play once. I say to this, to Trump and to politicians, think 10 times and speak once. Because they don't. Trump, whatever comes out of his mouth, with all the bullshit. You know,
so that's the situation. Is sort of the Palestine Action is that they targeted military installations and they would say that it wasn't, particularly to the level of terrorism, even their physical action. So they've been labelled a proscribed group, which means it's illegal to show any support to them. That includes just writing on a sign or maybe saying verbal support. And this seems quite extreme for the idea of free speech. So people who were arrested there in Liverpool, and they have been in Manchester and London, just because they held up signs to say that they supported Palestine Action.
What they fear most, and why they arrested Action Palestine, they fear most is the truth being exposed. That's what they fear most of all, is the truth. So what happens? They peddle their lies, and when the truth is exposed that they're lying, they don't like it, and it's exposed like by a group. They put a poster together called Action Palestine. Oh, they're not dropping bombs on anyone. And also, freedom of speech is so important. And this is a clampdown on freedom of speech.
So this is something that, where you don't have to get involved in their actions, or, so whether I suppose it's a debate whether you could class it as terrorism, what the group was involved in. So, there's Liverpool Friends of Palestine, there's various other groups. So this is a particular group that you can't support unless the judicial review overthrows it. Ever since July the 5th, they've become a proscribed group. It was led to lots of arrests in Manchester with people, holding the signs in defiance. But literally, that's all they were doing, and literally getting picked off out of the protest for that. So is that what you saw, really? You saw a group of police move in on somebody, like you've got a friend who was as, you're an elderly person now, so they were arresting somebody who was in the 70s. Did it look heavy-handed, how the way it was being done, or did it?
Well, what I think is this, as I say, we've marched for over a year now, with only 2 police officers with us, and it's been totally peaceful. There's been no problems. But after what happened in London with Action in Palestine, so to speak, then things changed all of a sudden. What I believe, that now that the truth is being exposed by these groups of Friends of Palestine, they've said, oh, we've got to clamp down on this. The powers that be, we've got to clamp down on this. So the first thing that happens is they've got to look for an excuse by which they can silence these peaceful protesters. And what they've used is a placard called Action Palestine. And that's what they needed, an excuse. And what a weak excuse, because all I can say is still the same. It's a peaceful organisation in favour of bringing peace to Palestine against the odds of the aggressive nation, Israel.
So what actually happened then? So they swooped down and arrested these people holding the signs, and
yeah, but that was London.
Yeah, but that happened first. I mean, it seemed to happen first in London and Manchester. I'm just wondering how it unfolded in Liverpool, because you were there.
Well, there was no Action Palestine placards in Liverpool at all. There was none whatsoever. I didn't see any. I was marching with my. I'll show you. I
actually thought there were, because I thought that was the basis of the idea of how you get arrested.
My usual one, which is was that one?
So yes,
that's my placard. It's A4.
So according to this legislation, although controversial, you should be okay with that because it's literally prescribing Palestine Action. But anything else isn't prescribed, and so
that's the truth.
Yeah. So that's going by just the.
And I know a Christian country might not agree with that.
Yeah.
But the Christian belief. Jesus was a Palestinian, and he was known as the Prince of Peace, and that's what that's why I carry that poster. Yeah. And what it also is, they needed an excuse, and London was the excuse to what happened in Liverpool, because we've marched for a year with 2 police officers, and that's it. There's been no trouble.
You even
There's
say
been
it's
a
3
few
years
little
or 2 years.
people shouting abuse at us,
Yeah.
but there's been no problems, no violence whatsoever.
So what happened with the people who were arrested? Were they released on the same day? Or a bit later on, I think it was, wasn't
my
it?
friend, what happened when we got to the Victoria Monument? We had the usual speeches and things like that.
Yeah, in Derby Square, yeah.
You know, giving an update of what was happening. You know, the murder of women and children who were unarmed in Palestine, Gaza in particular, and they give an update of what's happening. And I would say every time I've been there, there's been no problems until the weekend just gone, when the problems started in London, and for all of a sudden I think that made, I would say, the authorities over anxious because of the Action, Palestine, you know.
Because this is on the weekend after the proscription.
And I think that probably...
They didn't have any arrests.
They probably looked
Liverpool.
at that in London and went, oh, Liverpool.
Yeah.
And for the first time, on all the times I've marched, every weekend for the last year, that's the first time I've seen police vans everywhere. And I thought, this is odd. Nothing happened. We got there, we did the normal thing. And I couldn't quite see, because what happened, the people that got up and give their speeches for the Friends of Palestine, by people in support of Palestine, and it was all going all right. And all of a sudden, there was a bit of a kerfuffle to the right of the Victoria monuments, and I thought, what's going on there? And the next minute, the police wagons had moved over and cut, and also there was a bus trying to get through as well on the main road. And also the police wagon was moved over. And next minute, the police had jumped on this young protester who was, and I couldn't hear what they were saying in the kerfuffle or anything. So Audrey White, a friend of mine, by the way, Audrey White has demonstrated with me against the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and she is a known Stop the War Coalition protester. Now she went to assist this young person who was then all of a sudden held down by about 5 police officers on the steps of the Victoria Monument. And that's when I moved over, but I couldn't take. And next minute, because she went to try and help, they leapt on her as well.
Even though she wasn't holding the sign anyway.
No, she wasn't doing any of that. She was trying to help this young person.
Of the Palestine Action,
police officer like pinned to the ground on the steps of the Victoria Monument. And I could only see through the little columns and that. And next minute, she's being dragged off. Next minute, they jump on her as well, and she's being dragged off. Apparently, there were 4 people arrested at that time, and that would be, I would say, it would be about usual time, about 3:30 on Sunday afternoon. I go to these marches after church at St Andrews.
It starts at 2 o'clock, doesn't it? Usually, it comes down by about 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it's about 3 o'clock.
To Derby Square, yeah.
We normally finish about 3:30, but it's about 3 o'clock. And all this kerfuffle started. I couldn't quite make out with all the hubbub on. And of course, all the Friends of Palestine moved round to see what was happening. Mm-hmm. And next minute, that they had Audrey down as well, pinning Audrey down and dragged her and the other people off to the police wagons and put them in. And I know Audrey well, and I must admit that I had a bit of a set to with the police when I was marching against the Iraq war.
Was that the 2003?
Damaged foot. And what it was, a police officer accidentally stomped on my foot.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I was over the railings gagging, and police officer said, "Oh, well, I will look after him." My friend Snow said, "No, we'll look after him."
Was that 2002 or 3 of the second one, or was that back in the first Gulf War?
Well, that was when I was involved. But myself and Audrey have been involved in anti-war protests for years.
For all
You're
that
talking
time, yeah.
about Iraq, Afghanistan from 2002, 2000.
Because that was a huge national demo, wasn't it? It didn't stop the war going ahead, because
Yeah,
it was 2002 before it started.
Yeah, we were all down at the biggest anti-war demonstration
In London,
ever,
yeah.
at Hyde Park.
Yeah.
And the press said, "Oh, about 1 million people." Hyde Park was full.
Yeah.
That's
massive,
stuck
Hyde
in Gower
Park.
Street,
It would be
which
full.
is on the
Yeah.
perimeter
Yeah.
of Hyde Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's a huge park to be full, that.
I'd say about Audrey.
Hyde Park in London.
She's like me, a peaceful demonstrator.
Yeah. 'Cause,
I'm not into the violence. That's what I'm into, the peace.
Just making the point and standing
Making
there in
the point.
solidarity. And
That there's
but that's
an
all that's happening with
alternative.
that's all the people are doing when they're holding this sign. I know the government might have made it a prescribed organisation, but it won't change what people actually support.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the thing. So
Audrey was
and they want to
head
stand.
of
Yeah.
Stop the War Coalition. She's been involved in that and so. But I've just been a protester against war.
Yeah.
And as I say, I'll emphasise this again. We've been protesting for a year. What marching every Sunday, and I've very rarely missed out.
It was after what happened
And
in
there's been
October
no
7th
problem. Two police
and what happened in
officers
Palestine. Yeah.
looking after us, no problem.
Does you?
Except for this weekend.
Does you?
And I think it was an overflow from what happened in London, but no one was carrying, as I could see, action.
Well, that's what the authorities actually said, is because that if you show that, you get arrested, and that did happen in Liverpool. Now, you may not agree with that, but that's just their supposedly factual version of what happened, and it might be overturned, or it might remain in force. And it's not exactly something that supports free speech, obviously, and you can't support the organisation.
That's an important point you just mentioned: free speech.
Because
we will continue to march. And obviously, Audrey's been banned from appearing at any more of our peaceful demonstrations.
So it's one of those conditions that you get, almost like bail conditions kind of thing, which again is
anyway, she's more or less been
what do you call like house arrest on her. Like house arrest. Yeah. So that seems like you could just not hold the sign, even though. But that's for this specific organisation. But people did it in Manchester, and it's on video, and because they do support that and don't want to be told they can't hold the sign and show that in a free country. But it's not a free country, I guess. In this way, it isn't. So were the four people arrested? So did they come out much later, many hours later, towards midnight, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, all I did, I looked online. I was on Facebook. I saw it. There's a shadowy shot of Audrey leaving the police station about midnight. Yeah. I think they took them to Manchester. They took some to a Manchester.
Did they really? Yeah.
Birkenhead, weren't
Birkenhead in one case, but Manchester in another case.
Yeah, I'm not too sure of all the details.
Because it's a police station you can get taken to anyway. Because some supporters gathered to help them there as well, or to give support, and waited for them to come out. And it's usually
I think a brother was there.
It's usually a few hours later, and it can be a long time. But then you get these conditions in theory. Yeah, so that's what being arrested generally means, isn't it? So. Well, thanks very much for sharing your actual experience of what it was like there.
Well, what I would like to say,
because
I'd like to see peace in Palestine,
because
and I'd also like to emphasise that we must look carefully that our freedom to speak is kept as that. So I would say, power to the people.
Yeah, rather than. But when they do this,
power to freedom of speech, where we can expose untrue.
But when they use the 2000 Terrorism Act to say that you can't give support, even just writing it down or talking about it in a favourable way, when you're not just when you're appearing in a protest, could that doesn't really seem that free. But they've also put this organisation on the same level as the likes of ISIS and other examples of proscribed organisations in the past, where but Palestine Action is now in that list thanks to the decision by Yvette Cooper. Is she the Home Secretary? I should know that. She is under Labour's Keir Starmer government, and that's what's led to this situation of people actually being arrested at Palestine protests for the support when they haven't been before that.
And that's say this, we have become a vassal state of America.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, most Americans carry guns. We don't do that. We've avoided that.
The right to bear arms in the
Yeah,
Constitution,
you know, you
yeah.
gotta think
So
in
a lot
terms
do
of-
bear arms, therefore.
There are ultra-motives.
Yeah.
There are hidden agendas.
Yeah.
And if you read between the lines of what's being reported, there are, like, you take for example, Donald Trump said,
Yeah.
if we could move all the Palestinians away from the Palestine, that strip of land on the coast,
Yeah.
and he could build his resort. I mean, that is the President of the United States of America.
So I don't think you're the biggest
How-
fan of Donald Trump, are you?
How on earth can someone say that unless there are a few
I mean, it's kind of like one of
brain
those.
cells short?
It's a bit like one of those Bushisms. They made a whole book of things that Bush said
No,
and the thoughts that he had.
you know,
That'd be one for him, wouldn't it?
Look, the thing, show respect.
Yeah.
There's the thing I say, respect is a two-way process. Respect the Palestinian people and they will respect you. And that is-
Because everybody, yeah, they seem, you know, everybody seems okay, you know, when you know. And I mean, there's a whole issue you can go into about what's happening with Palestine, obviously, because it's difficult to get supplies in. It's under siege, you know. There's all this as well, but obviously this issue now is
Well, there's something very important I'd like
It's
to
about-
say.
Yeah.
That a lot of the problems are what we call Zionist-led, and they're a powerful organisation. That's not all of Israel. I've met Jewish people who were on the marches on the
so there's nuance to
That's
this,
the
isn't it? It's
Palestine.
not is just like
and
Israel,
they
exactly.
disagree
Yeah,
with what Israel is doing.
and support. Yeah, I
Now,
see the point,
what I
the
would
logic
say
there. Yeah,
here, before anyone calls me anti-Semitic,
yeah.
I sent my eldest son, Adrian, to King David in Liverpool, Chilwell. That's a Jewish school, when he was 13. Because I knew he'd get a good education there. So anyone who says, that RP is anti-Semitic, just quote that to them.
It's about what's so really just you're putting it simply. It's about standing up for what is right, and whoever you are, you know, to treat people right.
Criticize Israel,
That's
very
right,
often
yeah.
you're called anti-Semitic. You know.
Well, Jeremy Corbyn
crit-
wasn't he? You know, just when you know, unfairly, just because of, you know, I mean, but actually, it's about Zionism, like you say. It's
Yeah.
it was a similar thing there, wasn't it, with Jeremy Corbyn? So
Well, what I would say, thankfully, to freedom of speech, I'm allowed to say what I am saying. And may that always be the case.
but if you said on video, I support Palestine Action, it would literally be against the law if I said it, rather than, you know, in that way. Rather than in the context in which I've just said it now, it would still be outside. It would still be within the law, because I've not said I do, or you haven't. And so that's literally what this law is actually doing now. The proscription law is stopping people even expressing what they actually think.
Yes.
Because of yes.
Yes,
So
I
that
should
is
say that
quite
is
stark.
the-
That really is. I mean.
That, all of a sudden, since last weekend, that the scope
Yeah.
of the arrest or facility has expanded. And it covers things, even probably you mentioning Action Palestine or me, Action.
Yeah.
We could be what you called committed.
Have a bit of a tour of Birkenhead Police Station, which I haven't had before. I'll be an urban explorer. Gosh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, thanks very much. It's been interesting. As I said, I like to get down and cover these things sometimes, and I wasn't there, and so I'm grateful for you for sort of, you know, actually just
I would
simply
like to
relating
say
what's happened. So let's have a look at
Also
this
that
one,
my poem, In Pursuit of Peace,
which you
has
could
gone
read.
into
Yeah,
a poetry book
just zooming in
for
on that now.
Palestine called Gathering for Palestine. Would you like me to read Pursuit of Peace?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that, and that'll be the last thing on it before the battery goes, annoyingly, because it's very strong. This.
Right.
So we've got.
This is in Pursuit of Peace, right?
Okay.
In Pursuit of Peace. Sadly thinking of the iconic peace activists who have been murdered. Spending Christmas alone, sons with their respective mothers. I shared mine spiritually with the Prince of Peace. A man who paid the ultimate price, like so many, in pursuit of peace. Born of a humble background did not deter him, putting grace in our hearts in the pursuit of peace. You may say, I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Thus sang John Lennon in pursuit of peace. I will continue as a poet for peace, or maybe should I say a wordsmith, or just another peaceful activist in pursuit of world peace. And all I can say is love and peace to all. And as a Christian, God the Father, Mary the Mother, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Very well, thanks very much for all your thoughts on this and what happened, which is now last Sunday in Liverpool, where arrests happened because of Palestine Action, but also, as you said, the whole thing around it as well. Yeah, let's just hope we can actually have the freedom to put our own thoughts, you know, because whatever side you might fall on it. So that's a good final note there. Freedom for Palestine. That's what, you know.
I do
That's
have.
very much what you.
Do you want me to read my Glasgow Punks?
Okay, I'll put